You have been adamant that there should be some degree of coordination with the CFTC and you about trying to make it so that we have a more clarity, let's say, on cryptocurrency. Where's the state of play crypto right now?
This is a highly speculative asset class. We've known this for a long time. The ups and downs of this speculative asset class, Bitcoin, and hundreds of other tokens. And many of these tokens right now are trying to operate. They're potentially non-compliant. We're trying to make the markets a little better, hopefully a lot better for the retail investing public, and to really move forward in the face of new technology like crypto so that the investing public always getting to decide what risks they want to take, but has that full and fair disclosure, and we protect against fraud, manipulation, the hucksters that come along, because human nature is human nature.
Welcome back, everybody, to Altcoin Daily. The SEC is on a mission to regulate the crypto industry. SEC Chair Gary Gensler has just given us an update on where regulation stands. It's coming sooner rather than later. He shared a lot of insight. I'm going to play you a couple clips from this recent interview, only hours old. Before we get to that, breaking news. Grayscale has partnered with trading firms Jane Street and Virtue to convert their GBTC trust into a Bitcoin ETF, and this needs to be approved or declined by next week. If our application is approved by the SEC, Grayscale writes, these firms would enable the simultaneous creation and redemption inherent to an ETF. This would be a spot GBTC ETF, by the way, a spot Bitcoin ETF, which would be a big deal. Grayscale's proposal to convert their GBTC trust to a spot ETF is going through a public comment period, with the deadline for the SEC's decision coming July 6th. July 6th is the date. They're going through a comment period, and guess what? Almost 12,000 letters have been submitted to the SEC in support of Grayscale's Bitcoin spot ETF thus far. What do you think about this? I think this would be a hugely bullish catalyst for Bitcoin specifically and crypto in general in the United States, July 2020. We already have a spot Bitcoin ETF in Canada and an Ethereum one. We already have a spot Bitcoin ETF in Australia and an Ethereum one. It's only a matter of time before this happens, in my opinion, and it could happen sooner rather than later. In other news, Sam Bankman-Fried's FTX is eyeing a purchase of Robinhood. Sam Bankman-Fried recently bought 7.6% of Robinhood, and shares jumped on today's news. What this tells me is that FTX wants to directly compete with Brian Armstrong and Coinbase. FTX wants to be bigger than Coinbase in the United States. And I do want to remind you, Sam Bankman-Fried, Joe Biden's second biggest donor last election and a huge donor this election as well. In other news, before I share with you two major insights by the SEC chair himself, really giving us the direction of clarity from the SEC in the United States, before we get to that, Wells Fargo just released a report stating that Bitcoin and crypto is nearing an inflection point for the hyper-adoption phase similar to the internet in the late 1990s. This is in Wells Fargo's report. They say cryptocurrency is here, and they're projecting cryptocurrency to do something like this. But let's get to it. Regulation for cryptocurrency in the United States is a mixed bag. It's a trade-off. There's a lot of good that comes with it. There's some bad if you're more of the person who appreciates the wild, wild west of crypto. Overall, regulatory clarity will be great for cryptocurrency in the long run in the United States. Gary Gensler today has given us an update on where the SEC stands with this.
You have been adamant that there should be some degree of coordination with the CFTC and you about trying to make it so that we have a more clarity, let's say, on cryptocurrency. Where's the state of play crypto right now?
Look, this is a highly speculative asset class. We've known this for a long time. The ups and downs of this speculative asset class, Bitcoin, and hundreds of other tokens. And many of these tokens offer the investing public, or the investing public is hoping, I should say, hoping for a return. Just like when they invest in in other financial assets we call securities. And many of these financial assets, crypto financial assets, have the key attributes of a security. So some of them, they're under the Securities and Exchange Commission. Some, like Bitcoin, and that's the only one, Jim, I'm going to say, because I'm not going to talk about any one of these tokens, but
sure.
My predecessors and others have said they're a commodity. Working together, there's two great market regulators in this country. I had the honor to chair the CFTC, a terrific agency. I have the honor now to chair the Securities and Exchange Commission. A little bit different remits, a little bit different approaches, but working together with the banking regulators as well. There's work to be done there around what's called stable coins. There's a lot of work to be done to really protect the investing public. And many of these tokens right now are trying to operate, they're potentially non-compliant, and I'll leave it at that, Jim.
And then Jim Cramer actually had a really good follow-up for Gary Gensler talking about Fidelity, saying Fidelity is traditional finance. They're one of the biggest asset managers in the world, one of the most well-respected. They've started offering Bitcoin to their clients in their 401k. They're doing stuff with both Bitcoin and Ethereum. Isn't this one of the biggest green flags for the crypto industry in general?
One of the things that happened, and I sure hope that that clarity and transparency occur, but one of the things that happened, at least in many of our lives, I've had all my life had my money with Fidelity. And they came out and they said, look, you can put your Bitcoin in 401k. It was a seminal moment because if 401k is made for securities, you put Bitcoin in, and suddenly that kind of endorsement makes us feel very comfortable, Mr. Chairman, with the asset that is Bitcoin. Are we too comfortable?
Look, there's a lot of risk in crypto. There's also risk in the classic securities markets. What we have in the U.S. is we have this concept that you have market regulators like the CFTC and SEC to help protect the public against fraud and manipulation in the markets. And when there's a group of entrepreneurs that are selling something to the public, who are saying to the public, come here, come hither, we've got this great idea, that when you do that, you've got to have basic disclosures, full and fair disclosures. That's what the SEC does. That's what we do really well. It's less so, in the oil markets or the wheat markets that the CFTC has. And so that's what we have. And right now you have hundreds, if not thousands, of these crypto tokens that have the basic attributes of raising money from the public and having a group of entrepreneurs that you might have on your show saying, come hither. We've got a good idea for you. And that's okay in America if you comply with the laws. And we've got, unfortunately, a lot of projects that are non-compliant.
Wow.
And by the way, is crypto the SEC's top priority? I mean, they're not just dealing with crypto, they're dealing with all markets in the U.S. How important is crypto to the SEC?
Mr. Chair, one question, sort of an echo of a question we've asked you before. Of all the pots that you have boiling at the SEC, SPACs, China, ESG, can viewers be comfortable in thinking that crypto is the top priority, is on the front burner? And if so, when is there going to be palpable proof of the work you've done? When's that going to happen?
Well, you wouldn't want me to pick amongst my three wonderful daughters, and I'm not going to pick up amongst those projects either. Look, we do. It's a great honor to be in the role I'm in. We oversee literally $100 trillion capital markets. The projects you mentioned, the operations of even the U.S. Treasury markets, which is a quarter of our capital markets, literally. So we oversee a lot. We're trying to make the markets a little better, hopefully a lot better for the retail investing public, and to really move forward in the face of new technology like crypto, in the face of new technology called artificial intelligence, in the face of robo-advising and the like, and move forward so that the investing public, always getting to decide what risks they want to take, but has that full and fair disclosure, and we protect against fraud, manipulation, the hucksters that come along, because human nature is human nature.
One of my big takeaways from the three major, very telling stories coming out of crypto today, one being Grayscale spot ETF, the other being FTX wanting to purchase Robinhood, and the third, of course, being SEC Chairman's comments on the current state of regulatory clarity. One of my big takeaways from all three of these things is that Bitcoin, crypto, the industry is a fast-moving train. People are realizing it's here to stay, and everybody's trying to get their ducks in a row because they realize this is not going to be big for a year or two. This is going to be big for a decade or for the rest of our lives like the internet is. And more than that, everybody always thinks they're too late every single time. When the price was $30 10 years ago, am I too late? When the price was $833 8 years ago, am I too late? When the price was $7,000 3 years ago, am I too late? And now the price is $20,000. A year ago, it was $30,000. People continue to ask, am I too late? Either you understand the writings on the walls, either you understand that so many different Bitcoin metrics, the fundamentals, have just kept trending up, even though the prices have gone down because of macro factors in the world. You realize that there's tons of opportunity in crypto today. Make sure you watch our last two videos for the state of the market. Either way, guys, subscribe to the channel. I will see you tomorrow.